There's something magical about walking into a room that feels spacious, calm, and uncluttered. A room where everything has a purpose. A room where the air feels lighter. Where your mind suddenly becomes quiet, even if it was loud just a moment ago. Minimalism isn't just an aesthetic. It's not just white walls, wooden floors, and empty surfaces. It's a feeling, a psychological experience, a sense of breathing room, both outside and inside. But why does having less make some people feel more alive? Why does a clean, simple space make the heart feel calmer and the mind feel freer? Let's explore that gently today. Not to judge, not to tell people how they should live, but to understand why minimalism feels right for some people. In a world that is always asking us to want more, buy more, keep more. Because for some hearts, less isn't empty. It's freedom. Minimalism begins in the space around you, but it ends up touching something deep inside you. When you remove physical clutter, you also remove mental noise. Your brain doesn't have to constantly scan the room, process details, or remember little tasks hidden in piles of objects. Psychologically, every item you see demands a tiny bit of attention, a reminder, a memory, a responsibility. And when those items are reduced, your mind finally gets to rest. Minimalism feels peaceful because your brain can finally breathe. Many people who love minimalism aren't trying to impress anyone. They're not chasing trends. They're protecting their peace. Minimalism becomes a quiet form of self-care, a way of saying, my mind already carries enough. My space doesn't need to carry chaos too. A clean table, an empty floor, a neatly made bed. These small things feel like anchors, gentle signals that life doesn't have to be heavy everywhere. In a world full of overwhelm, minimalism becomes a soft place to land. There's also something psychological happening with identity. When your environment is simple, your mind stops clinging to objects as symbols of who you are. You stop defining yourself by what you own and start discovering yourself through what remains. Minimalism asks a quiet but powerful question. What do I actually need to feel like myself? Some people answer it with objects, some with people, some with experiences. But those who choose minimalism often realize that the fewer things they keep, the more clearly they hear their own voice. When you remove distractions, you finally notice your desires, your thoughts, your truth. Minimalism doesn't erase identity. It reveals it. There's also the emotional side of things. Some people grew up in chaotic homes. Clutter, noise, unpredictability. So, when they become adults, a clean, quiet space feels like healing, like reclaiming control they never had, like building the safety they once wished for. Minimalism becomes more than a style. It becomes a form of emotional recovery, a way to rewrite the story of their environment, a way to create calm in a world that didn't give them calm before. And that's why a minimalist room can make someone feel at peace in a way that other people may not fully understand. Minimalism also gives a sense of lightness. When you reduce the number of things you own, you reduce the number of things that can overwhelm you. Fewer choices, fewer responsibilities, fewer visual distractions. Your mind becomes clearer because your space is no longer pulling you in 1,000 directions. This is why so many minimalist spaces look unbusy, because the person living in them wants a life that feels unbusy. Minimalism is not emptiness. It's intentional space. Minimalism also makes room for presence. When your environment is simple, your senses soften. You notice the sunlight moving on the wall, the sound of your own breathing, the feeling of the floor beneath your feet, the smell of clean air, the gentle rhythm of your home. In this way, minimalism quietly teaches mindfulness. It invites you into the current moment, instead of burying you under the noise of objects. People who love minimalism often aren't trying to escape life. They're trying to experience it more fully. Another psychological truth. Minimalism reduces decision fatigue. Every object you don't own is one less object you have to clean, move, fix, replace, organize, or think about. When your home has fewer items, your mind has fewer tiny tasks to juggle. You feel lighter because your responsibilities are lighter. It's not about being neat. It's about being free. Some people choose minimalism because it feels emotionally safe. Clutter feels overwhelming and unpredictable. But a minimalist room feels predictable, soothing, and stable. It's a space where nothing shouts. Nothing demands attention. Nothing competes with your thoughts. A minimalist room whispers, "You're okay. You're safe here. You can rest." And for many people, that whisper is everything. Minimalism also makes room for meaning. When you have fewer things, the things you choose to keep become more precious, more intentional, more personal. One book you love, one photo that makes you smile, one plant that feels like life, one blanket that smells like home. With fewer objects, each one gains a story. Each one carries warmth. Each one reminds you of what truly matters. Minimalism replaces quantity with presence. And maybe that's the heart of it. Minimalism isn't about taking things away. It's about making room for what matters. Space to breathe. Space to feel. Space to think. Space to be alive in your own home, without feeling overstimulated or overwhelmed. Minimalism is not restriction. It's liberation. The freedom to focus. The freedom to rest. The freedom to live intentionally, instead of reacting to everything around you. So if you're someone who loves clean spaces, open rooms, simple lines, soft colors, and as few objects as possible, there's nothing strange about you. Your mind is simply craving clarity. In a world full of distraction, you're not running from life. You're making room for it. Your minimalist space is not empty. It's peaceful. It's thoughtful. It's warm in its own quiet way. It reflects your desire for calm, more than your desire for objects. Speech balloon, are you like this too? Do you need your bedroom or your whole home to feel minimalist, calm, tidy, and uncluttered, with as few items as possible, so your eyes and mind feel relaxed? If this sounds like you, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Your experience might help someone else understand their own need for simplicity too. And remember, minimalism isn't about what you remove. It's about what you protect. Your peace, your clarity, your emotional space, your life.